So before we move into any other thing, let's first have a look at some of the methods from the servlet context. Okay. Okay. Yeah. If you have gone through the servlet context here represents our web application, right? And I think yesterday we had that web.xml file. Yeah, this is that web.xml file. So if you look at that web.xml file, the servlet context would have information, right, which is throughout this, okay, except for, as far as the individual servlets are concerned, the servlet entries are concerned, this information goes into servlet config object, right? Each servlet configuration of a servlet, right? So this we have seen. Yesterday we have used the how to fetch from web.xml, how do we fetch the init parameter, okay? But as far as my servlet context is concerned, okay, which corresponds to one such web XML file, okay, we would be interested in fetching this information, right? Okay, context param. Just like what is init param for a servlet, context param is for the servlet context. Okay, so this is for the application level. See, when you have when you develop a web application, you deploy a web application, one of the very most common thing, okay, which you would like to keep configurable and not hard coded within your source code is something like this. You would be connecting to some database. You would like to normally connect to a database, and when connecting to a database, right, you have these informations. Okay, what is the name of the JDBC driver class? Okay, there is a java.sql.driver interface. So which class is implementing that interface? Maybe you would like to know that. Fine. Plus, you have to use this URL to make a connection to the database. Fine. And you will have a username and a password. Okay. Right. So username, password, those kind of things. Okay, here we haven't kept the context param for a password, but these are the kind of things which you would not hard code in your application. Instead of hard coding within the application, you might like to keep it configurable. Okay, so that they can be, because when you deploy on a different server, maybe or someone is trying to use a different JDBC driver, different kind of a database. So all this information, right, cannot be hard coded into your Java file. Okay, fine. So for that reason, where do we keep it? It is not on a servlet level. It's not for each individual servlet to hold this information. It is for the entire web application. Any servlet in this web application may like to create such, may like to use such information. Okay, so this is where we have this is equivalent of the init parameter, but this is for the application. Okay, so fine, we can actually update our application here, whatever we have done yesterday, that hello servlet. Okay, this is that hello servlet which we had done yesterday. Okay, so here we have used greeting. Now greeting is coming from init parameter. Okay, get init parameter, right? So this comes from config, right? Okay, so now our interest would be to use the context param. How can we use the context param which is available in the servlet context? Okay, so for that we may have to use the methods from servlet context. I think I'll put some of the methods from servlet context in this, and then we'll do that. Okay, so some methods. What are those methods? Okay, I think if you have yesterday, I think earlier we have seen those methods in the servlet config. Okay, so these are actually similar methods: public string get init parameter. Okay, the tag name is context param, but it is available from servlet context by using the method as init parameter. Okay, so get init parameter and you give the parameter name. Okay, and similar, this is exactly a similar thing. Get, it would be an enumeration of string. Get init parameter names. Okay, fine. What else do we want from the servlet context? Okay, web XML. Yeah, what else was there? Oh, we have the display name. Yeah, this is there. See this, even this name which is there, fine. So this can be, this is also something which you can fetch in your servlet. Okay, okay, I'll put it in notes. So public method returns a string, get display name. Okay, fine. So this corresponds, basically servlet context corresponds to one web XML file. Okay, one web XML file for one web application. Fine. So this is fine. So this information, let's say, so we would like to use some such things from here. Let's try. Okay, so let's try using this in our hello servlet itself, right? Okay, so one is greeting that we have fetched. We want to fetch the driver, the JDBC driver class name. Okay, now how will you get this driver class name? This dot config dot get servlet context. See, we have this method called get servlet context in the servlet config. Okay, and from the context now you can ask for driver class name. Okay, so how will you ask for the driver class name? Yeah, and what's the init parameter name? We'll look in the web XML. What's the name we have used? So this is the name. Okay, and that we put here. Okay, so this is one thing you can fetch. Same way, you are interested in knowing the display name. See, instead of doing this.config.get servlet context dot something each time, right? Someone could have done one more thing here and said, okay, we can declare servlet context here once, right? Okay, and then we could have used it all the time here. Okay, so this is just to demonstrate what can be used, right, and how they can be fetched from the deployment descriptor, the information which is available, and maybe in the body after H1. So here, would you like to insert some more thing, more information? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we can put double quotes here and out.println. Okay. You can use H2 and use display name plus display name. Okay, and another one for maybe the driver class. So just so one simple okay, so this would be maybe using h3. Okay, fine. So we could have done this. Okay, and clear what we are attempting here. So using some methods from servlet context. Okay, now we have used some of the methods of servlet context. I'll add more. Okay, just for the demo sake, let's run this. But there are more methods we need to know from the servlet context basically. Okay. Yesterday we have compiled, yeah, this one. Text get display name. Okay, so get display name. I think that method name must be different. We do have a method for knowing the display name. Let's check in the API then. Okay, I think we should create a mark for that API. This is JDK docs API. Okay, we have the docs. Yesterday we had seen that. Okay. So javax.servlet package, and it's a servlet context that we want to look at. Methods, and here you will have methods for get methods. Get display name. One second. Context, but there's nothing like display name. Okay. Is it just simply get name? Okay. Anyway, actually, it does have something to do with the display name. I'm not sure where it has gone. Okay. Okay, one thing, if you notice this, this API, it's giving you all information about the server. Okay, so servlet context is access to your Tomcat server, basically all information from Tomcat server that will be available here. We'll see there are a lot many other useful methods here. Okay, get server info. So that can tell you which server it is. Get servlet context. This is the one. This get servlet context name. It's not display name, but you will get it by using the get servlet context name. So that should give you the display name. Okay, it's not display name here. Okay, get servlet context name. That's a method. Yeah. Okay. You can compile and it should work. Okay. Now we can try accessing it again. I think whether is it working or okay. Let's, okay, we need to start up. Yeah. Sorry. cd tomcat 9 /bin here. Okay. I think it has failed to start, it seems. Okay, so this is started now, and Tomcat is running, and now we can go to our browser, and here /, that's our application name / and yeah, I think it works with hello, right? So we'll use hello, and let's check what it's printing. Fine. So display name academic section, right? If you recollect, that's what we have. Driver class name. So it's able to. The whole point here is I'm just demonstrating that how you can fetch information. There are any configurable information which you don't want to hardcode in your Java files. Fine. Something which may change from one deployment to another deployment. Fine. They would be kept in web.xml file, and this is how you would be able to fetch them in your Java file. Fine. So in your servlet code, this is how you fetch them. Okay. And so you have all kinds of methods like this. Another important thing, this is Tomcat server. Okay, so Tomcat server would maintain a log also. Fine, it would have a log of what is fine. So as it starts up and it logs all the things which are happening in the server. Okay, now sometimes there are some errors which occur, or sometimes any such thing, some important information maybe you would like to write into the server's log. Okay, fine, that you would like to make an entry into the server. Fine, you have the Tomcat server, so Tomcat server is creating a log for us. Okay, so in that server's log, in Tomcat server's log, you want to make an entry. Okay, so you have a method here. Fine, so I'll now add method into the servlet context. Okay, if you, and so here we even have method, fine, method for logging. Okay, so you have a method, public method, returns void, name of the method is log. So you can use a message, you can log a message, or you could use a log method even to log a exception. And so you can use a throwable here. Okay, so any exception can be logged along with a message. I think there are two things. Yeah. Okay, and so this is also possible. I think just check that in the API and quickly these methods. So in servlet context, you will have the method, log method. Okay. Yeah. These are the two. Okay. There are a few. One log method, which is for exception and a message. Okay. Another log method for a message. We still have one more log method where we have message. It's first message and then the throwable. Okay. It's only this method and the earlier method. They differ only in the order. Okay, so you have the exception here, not throwable, sorry, it's exception here and here it is throwable, message and throwable. Yeah. Okay, when only the difference is only of the order of the parameters. Okay. Exception, or you can keep it the other way around. And that's your exception. Okay, so logging, whenever error is detected, maybe you are writing your code in a servlet, somewhere you do a try catch. So from within the catch, when you would not be showing it on the as a response to the back to the client, right? But maybe you would like to put it in the server's log. So this is what you can do to put entries in. So you can write into the server's log like this. Okay, so methods for logging is like this. Okay, now with this knowledge, okay, with this just this small knowledge, let's do one more exercise. Okay, so we do one more exercise here, and that's the exercise where we would like to develop our base servlet. Okay, fine. We know this is the first servlet, like hello servlet is what we have written. In hello servlet, except for the service method, right? Except for the service method, other methods are almost, yeah, we would not probably change them. Okay, so what we want to do is create a base servlet. So that goes as a basic servlet for whenever we want to develop any new servlet, we'll use it as the base. Okay, and extend from that servlet and then start developing our servlet, right? Rather than repeating these some common code. Okay, fine. So Yeah, let's create one more. Okay, so yeah, we can, I think some of the part can be copied from the earlier code. Okay, I'll just copy this and let's see how we go about it. Okay. Okay, so we are interested in having a class called base servlet. Okay, it should implement servlet, so servlet is fine. Another thing is servlet config, which we are having, right? Even servlet config, we know there are only just 4 methods there. Okay, fine. And we know servlet config is also going to be part of it here. So as we can design our class to also implement, okay, we can see servlet config is also an interface. So this can say, okay, let's implement both in our base servlet. Let us include methods not only of the servlet but also of the servlet config. Okay, fine. So yes, this will be one thing. Implementation of methods of servlet config, and that's quite simple basically. Uh, init method, okay. See, when you develop a base servlet, init method, what is it doing? Initializing the config object, right? This is the config object, fine. Right? It's okay. Yeah, and it's initializing the config object, fine. Okay, so what do you think about this method? Anything? Someone can suggest something? What happens if someone overrides this init method and does not get this initialization? See, we are developing a base servlet. That means people are going to be uh, creating subclass of this. Okay, one important thing what we may do here is we may say, okay, this is going to be abstract also. And we may declare this class to be abstract. That's fine. Okay, so class base servlet can be abstract. No one wants to create the object of this directly. We will leave the service method blank. Fine, we don't want to implement the service method because that's what will change each time. But other things, most of the time is going to be as it is, right? Okay, so we have init method. Now come to the init method. This initialization is important to us, right? Okay, and we don't want someone to override this and make it such that, okay, my servlet config initialization doesn't happen because someone in a subclass may override and make this. So we do not want overriding of this, right? But then how do I give additional initialization if I want, right? I want to give some initialization. I don't want to someone to change this. I don't want someone to play with, okay, by overriding and making it such that this servlet config does not get initialized. So I would make this method final, do the initialization here, and have one more init method, and maybe I'll say, okay, we will have a method which can be overridden. Yeah, this is the method you may override. I'm having a init method without parameter. So, fine. So this is one blank method. Yeah, this is for the purpose of overriding. You want to give any initialization? Yes, you can add to it, right? So I have my initialization. My class is doing the initialization of servlet config, and for any subclass, this is the method to be overridden for doing any other additional initialization if you want. Clear? Getting the point? We made this final because we don't want someone to play with this. This must be done. Okay, fine. If I allow this to be overridden, then we don't know whether config may get initialized or not. And if config is not initialized, this method implementation also we don't know, right? Okay, this one again, when we know that this should not be overridden, make it final. Okay, destroy method, yeah, we are keeping it as it is. Let people override this. Okay, this one. Okay, this you can return, maybe you don't want to return this, you want to return a blank. Okay, you may return a blank or you may return null, whatever. Okay, service method, no, we will not keep the service method. Okay, our base servlet will not have the service method, it is kept as abstract. So this is the only method to be overridden. Plus we will also be overriding methods of servlet config. What are the methods of servlet config? See, it's going to make things easier for us and for a subclass basically, right? Okay, so for servlet, for a subclass, methods should, the other thing should be easier. Yeah. So what are the other things? Servlet config methods, public, string, okay, get init parameter, right, given a string, yeah, return this dot config dot get. And simply just pass it on. And again, we would not like someone to override this, make this final. Okay, and same way, enumeration of string, get init parameter names, okay. Which other two methods were there in the yeah, another one is fine. We'll keep this method final, right, not to be overridden. Method would be to return the servlet context, get servlet context, and this is simple, just return this dot config dot get servlet context. We just simply pass it on to the servlet config object, right? Invoke the method on servlet config object. And the fourth method was the what was it? Get servlet class, I think. Get servlet name, yeah. Final returns a string, get servlet name. Okay, so we can save it as base servlet.java. Fine. So clear. So now onwards, if we want to develop a servlet, fine, we need not be implementing the servlet interface. We simply extend from the base servlet and then override the service method. See, this is abstract because service method from the servlet interface is not implemented. Servlet config, everything is implemented. Servlet, except for service method, everything else is implemented. So someone wants to write a servlet and he knows what is the output to be given. He just implements the service method. Request is available, do the processing and send a response back. Okay, so that's a so this can be a good abstract class. We can add a few more convenient methods. We can make things convenient for someone when he is writing a service method. Maybe he wants to write into the log directly. Okay, so if someone wants to write into the log, fine, we can have methods like, okay, returns void, name of the method is log, and you can give the message. And this can also be implemented. Return this dot. Okay, you can use the get servlet context already, which we have here, right? That method is available. Dot log. Okay. Fine. So the other log method also we can on similar lines we can. Okay, so this can also be overridden on similar lines, basically. Okay, I'll just. Okay, fine. So this looks like a good base class. Can be good for a library. Fine, we can have it in our library, and then fine, whenever someone is developing a new servlet, okay, extend from this particular base servlet, right? Okay, fine. In fact, you don't actually need to have this servlet. I've shown you how the servlet can be developed, right? But this kind of a servlet is not required because a similar thing already exists in the Java library, not in the servlet API. Okay, and so the next thing in the servlet API, right, is a class called GenericServlet. Okay. Fine. We just have a look in the API. Whatever I have written, right? It's not the exact code that they have. Okay. In fact, a few things what we have done are better than what they have done. Okay. I think one or two methods may be missing in what we have done. But let's have just quick look at the servlet API. Okay, the generic servlet class. Okay, so the other class is the generic servlet. So these are the interfaces which we have, but then comes the classes. Okay, class summary, we have the generic servlet. Yeah, here's the generic servlet class. Okay, so generic servlet class implements servlet and servlet config, both of them. Okay, over and above being serializable. Okay, and this one again abstract class, just like we said. Okay, our base class would be abstract. It's the same way. Okay, it implements servlet config. Okay, let's look at the methods now. Okay, constructor, yeah, it would have a no argument constructor, that's fine. Okay, methods, let's see the methods here. Okay, it would be the same. So destroy method, fine. So this would be blank. See the problem here, what they have, I'll explain what the problem they have. This method like get init parameter, right? It takes a name and returns a string. Now this should have been final. Someone in a subclass may override this, and that would be problematic. Okay, and so see, where possible, you should try and see that methods actually become final. Okay, a get servlet config method is also there. Yeah, that anyway was there. We kept it final. Get servlet context, get servlet info, returns blank. Okay, this you can see the implementation is returning blank. We'll just go into it. Actually, they have not shown what it actually returns. Okay, I think they return a blank, just like what we have done. Okay, now this init method is fine. Okay, this is going to be called from this particular init method. Okay, a convenience method. But again, one thing, it was important that this init method should have been final in the API. Okay, but that's not what they have done. Okay, again we have the log method, and the service method anyway is abstract. Okay, so they have the same service method. And so here, whatever we have written as base servlet, fine, we understand how it has been written. That's how exactly the generic servlet has been developed actually. So there is a class called generic servlet in the API. Okay, and so this generic servlet, whatever we see, this is how any servlet may be, so one way, now what are the two ways? Now we know one way we can develop a servlet. One is by implementing servlet interface. Another option, extend from the generic servlet and override the service method. Okay, you can extend the generic servlet and override the service method. Okay, fine. And then we'll come across one more thing. Okay, we'll come across a few other ways in which a new servlet may be developed. Fine. Whenever we are developing a servlet, see this servlet, whatever we have developed, we understand they are going to be working on a HTTP protocol only, right? But whatever we have done so far is not specific about HTTP. It is in the generic part of the API. It is in the javax.servlet package. Okay, fine. I'll just show the class hierarchy so you can understand how the things are arranged here. Okay, the inheritance hierarchy. Let me just show the inheritance hierarchy here. Okay, so what we have is we have an interface. So I'll keep dotted lines for the interface. So there is an interface called servlet. Okay, we got another interface called the servlet config. Okay, this is I. Okay, and then we have a class here. Okay, so class will be okay, we have this class called the generic servlet. And that's implementing both of them. Okay, fine. So you may develop a servlet from here, implementing 5 methods, or you develop a servlet by extending from this. So this would be preferable. Okay, fine, compared to developing by overriding the 5 methods. Okay, here you just need to override the service method. This is abstract class. Okay, generic servlet is abstract class. Okay, now coming to specific of HTTP. So what we have here, all these three, they are part of the javax.servlet package. Okay, this is javax.servlet package. But then what we have is, we have a subclass of the generic servlet which goes outside the javax.servlet package. So beyond this, okay, below this we can say this is like the javax.servlet.http package. So we have the javax.servlet.http package where we got a class called HTTP servlet. This HTTP servlet extends from this one. Okay, fine. Okay, now a few interfaces which are involved here. Yes, we have seen the servlet config, which is in javax.servlet package. In this javax.servlet package, we also, from servlet config, we understand we have access to the servlet config, give us access to servlet context. Okay, so servlet context is going to be available throughout. Okay, servlet config is available in our generic servlet. There's a method called get servlet config. Okay, fine. So servlet config has also, because it's implementing servlet config, we even have a get servlet context method, right? So servlet context is always available. In the servlet itself, right? In this servlet, we have the service method. Recollect, there is a service method, but this service method has two parameters. One is the servlet request and other is the servlet response. Okay, Fine. So these two interfaces which are available, they are more generic and not specific to HTTP. Okay. Whereas we understand that at runtime, it's all about HTTP, right? All our servers are going to be HTTP based. Fine. They all will be supporting the HTTP and they are created for HTTP. Okay. So what actually happens is the service method which we have in the servlet, okay, that service method here in the HTTP servlet has been overwritten. Okay, so it's doing something like okay, so in this service method has been overwritten. Okay, in this the service method has been overwritten. So the first step which has been done here is the overriding of service method is it's actually overloading the service method in HTTP servlet. So HTTP servlet, the service method which was there has servlet request, servlet response, two parameters. Here also it has two parameters. Okay, it has that method already plus the additional method. Okay, the additional service method also takes two parameters, but now those two parameters are HTTP servlet request and the HTTP servlet response. Okay, so just like servlet request, servlet response, they are interfaces. Same way, HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response are interfaces. And it so happens that HTTP servlet request is an extension of this, and HTTP servlet response is an extension of the servlet response. So whatever methods you find for a servlet request, they are part of HTTP servlet request. In HTTP servlet request, you have still additional methods. Fine, same way, servlet response, it is a buffer, so that doesn't change at all, right? But you have more convenient methods so that you can give a response. You have convenient methods for forming a response for HTTP protocol. Okay, fine. So HTTP servlet response is that kind of an interface. It adds more methods, but those methods are all more specific towards HTTP protocol. Fine. Okay, I think you will find, I think all these methods, what are the additional methods, what is the method in servlet request, what are the methods in servlet response, and what are the additional methods in HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. You find all that information in that servlets.txt, whatever file I have given there. Okay, so if you read it properly, I think you should be able to figure out what I'm talking about here. Right? This diagram, okay, this inheritance structure which I'm showing here, and that should be understood here. Okay, fine. So clear up to this point. Fine. So now another, so one way, first way was we developed hello servlet from here. Then we developed a base servlet class, but equivalent of that is the generic servlet, which is readily available. Okay, fine. So someone could say, okay, let me override the service method in generic servlet. That's fine. Or the next option, and which is normally done, is so when you develop a servlet, what you would normally be doing is you would be extending from the HTTP servlet and creating a subclass, override. Yeah, now here what do you want to override? Oh, what kind of methods do we have in HTTP servlet? HTTP servlet has the service method. I think you can read from that servlets.txt. Okay. So maybe have you read that servlets.txt part where I have mentioned about this? No. Have you done that reading? One option. Okay. Second option. Okay. And what's the third option? And extend from the javax.servlet.http.httpServlet class. And now what do we do? One option is override the service method. Okay, there are two service methods in this. So the other service method, okay, fourth option, again it's similar to this, but what we override is going to be different. Okay, and override not the service method, instead of service method, the appropriate. Okay, so maybe you may have to override more than one method in this. Okay, and clear on this? To develop a servlet, yes, we have used the first one already. Fine, I have demonstrated the first option. Okay, second option, no one normally, second and even the third one, no one normally uses this, these two. Okay, what we normally use is this one. Okay, but I think you understand how this whole thing works. Here the hierarchy is known. So basically, even when you are writing, see, even if you are writing this one, right? What's happening is it's still creating the object of your class and it is still invoking the service method. It's the implementation of service method which in turn calls the appropriate get do method. Okay, and depending on the HTTP method. If you want, I can show it from here. Okay. Yeah. When in servlets or TXT, I'll show you, I think, the place where this has been done. Okay, then we'll have to talk about the servlet. We haven't seen those methods of servlet request and servlet response yet. Okay, only a few methods of servlet response is what I have shown you. But I think it would be better if you could go through all of these notes. And yeah, here is the this is talk about the generic servlet. Okay, and then there is a place. Yeah, this one. Okay. Fine. So here the HTTP servlet request, which is sub-interface of the servlet request, has additional methods specific to HTTP protocol, and one of them is this one, get method. Fine. Recollect that HTTP protocol, the first line, right? In that the first word is the method, right? It is the method either get or post or put or fine, any such thing. So which returns the HTTP method like get, post, put, delete, etc. Okay. The implementation of service method in this HTTP protocol in turn first checks the method. So what is the method which it has got, and depending on the method, fine, the HTTP servlet in the HTTP servlet request and invokes the doXXX method. So if the method is get, it will invoke the doGet method. Okay. If the method is post, it will invoke the do. Okay. So yeah, I think. Yeah, this is, I think. It invokes the doXXX method. It should have been. I think. Yeah, I think I didn't. This can be changed instead of saying get. Okay, you understand. It would be whatever it is. XXX could be anything. Okay, see, this is not the actual method name. I have written do XXX. XXX will be replaced with. Okay, so XXX will be one of these. So method, these are the various do methods basically. I'm calling them as a group. I'm just referring to them as do XXX. Okay. Right. So these are the various methods. The HTTP servlet has also one additional method called get last modified. Okay, so given a request, it should be able to say, okay, what is the date of the content, right? The content, whatever it is there, it see this one is a resource. It refers to some kind of a content, the servlet here. Okay, so what is the date? So date time normally it can be whatever the current time is, right? Okay, and then yeah, then we have something about the cookies thing. Okay, but till this point, have you read up to this, all of you, at least up to this point? So HTTP, what is the HTTP servlet? That should be clear by now if we have read up to this point. Okay, let me. Okay, fine. There's one small thing to understand even here also. Let's see. Okay. See, we have this class called the HTTP servlet. Okay. Fine, we understand. Till this point, if we come up to this point, reading all the things, and you should understand that we have this class called the HTTP servlet. Let me put into the notes now. Yeah. That I have, okay. HTTP servlet class overrides the service method. Okay. And has invocation. And okay, where it identifies the okay. Okay, when it where it identifies the HTTP method, and accordingly, after identifying accordingly, it will invoke the do method. Okay. Fine. So okay, example, if the HTTP method is get, okay, then it would invoke the do get method. Okay, so my question now, okay, I have a question now here. Okay, so my question is, what is the implementation of the do xxx method in what do you think should be the implementation? What should the implementation of do xxx method be? Okay, see, understand one thing, what is being expected from developer is that the developer is going to create a subclass of the HTTP servlet. Okay, a servlet developer is nothing but he is going to create a subclass of the HTTP servlet and would override the required do method. So if you want to support the okay, that yes, it is the get request which is being supported for this, then the do get method has to be overridden. So if you don't override, there it would work according to the default implementation. So what do you think should be the default implementation? What should be the default implementation? The HTTP servlet. So that if you forget to override that, right? Or maybe someone makes a mistake, right? So someone makes a mistake, and so if you are developing like this, right? So someone says, okay, I'll just give an example. Someone says, okay, I'm developing a public class. My servlet extends from HTTP servlet. Okay, and here I want to override that public void do get. Okay. And I put my code here. Okay, I put my code for giving the output. And if I compile this, do you think this will compile or it won't? You understand there is some mistake I've made here. Yeah, you know this. Right? I'm just showing that someone can even make a mistake like this, right? So if someone makes a mistake like this, is this going to compile or it's going to fail the compilation? There is a spelling mistake. I have done it knowingly. That get is actually ETs will be lowercase, okay? The actual method which is there. But someone has made a mistake like this. What do you think will happen? Will this compile or it won't compile? Will you get a compilation error? Yes, someone can answer this? Yes or no? Yeah. It's a yes or a no, yeah. Yeah, we understand. Okay. Yeah, what do you think here? Anyone can tell me what happens? Will this code compile, yes or no? My question is compilation wise, yes or no? And no one is answering. Would there be a compilation error? It's a simple Java question basically. You have a HTTP servlet class, right? And this class has all the methods, right? So it has extended that method. It even has public void service method. Let me show how the service method has been written in case of a HTTP servlet. It says, yeah, this is the one which says, there is something very logical, and that is what you should be knowing. Throws IO exception. Okay. And this one simply says, let's call the service method. So this one is calling the service method, where it just casts into HTTP servlet request. Okay, and so this is what is being done. And from the implementation of the, so now we have two service methods in the HTTP servlet. So this is the one which is saying HTTP servlet. And in this one, it says fine string method equals request, because now it is a HTTP servlet request. Okay, so a request.get method, and then it would say, so it's not the exact code, but it's equivalent of what I'm writing here. If method dot equals okay, if method equals get, then invoke the do get. Okay, and the thing, it would have just said, okay, else if method dot equals and post, and same way. Okay, so I'm not writing the whole code, but yeah, you can understand what it would be like. It's just saying, okay, let me got the do post method, and with the same request and the response objects, okay, and so on. Okay, fine. So that's how this, so the idea of this service method is to identify the method and accordingly call the do method. It does have the implementation of, okay, basically they are kept as protected methods anyway, because they are supposed to be overridden. So these methods are expected to be overridden. Fine. If you don't override, there is some implementation. So my only question is, what would be the implementation you expect in this? So there is this method called do get. Okay, and this would say HTTP servlet request. So my question here is, what is this? What do you think is the code here? What should this be doing? Fine, what should this be doing? What do you expect it to do? Okay, see, okay, so this is how it is, right? So it's on similar lines, other do methods, okay? Okay, so if this is how the HTTP servlet looks like, okay, it's almost equivalent of this, right? So first question was, what do you expect? This will compile or not? Will this compile? Yes or no? Should it give a compilation or it should not give a compilation? That's the first question. It's a simple Java question. HTTP servlet has got do get method, right? When you override, you make a mistake. Okay, you make a mistake like this, which is a spelling mistake. So what happens when you do a code like this? Can this be a compilation error? Someone can answer this, yes or no. It's a simple yes or no question. Compilation error, yes, no. Two options. See, your superclass has got the implementation of do get with the proper spelling, right? Okay, so when you make a spelling mistake, it will not be a compilation error. This cannot be a compilation error. Okay, at runtime, what will happen? Which method will be invoked? The method which is there in the HTTP servlet, right? The implementation. So now the second question is, what should that method be doing by default? What should be the default thing be? Yeah, no question, no answers here. Yeah. See what happens. Let me explain now. Okay, what exactly would happen, and you can even try out if you do something like this. Okay, if you make a spelling mistake like this. Okay, fine. Uh, okay, what would happen is by default, the implementation of these do methods. The whole point here is that, yeah, see, like we have the do get, do post, and all of those, right? So you know what happens is, the idea behind all of this is that you will be overriding only those methods which you actually want to support. So by default, fine. So if you, when you are developing a servlet, you want the implementation for the get method, right? If there is a get request, then only I want to respond. If there is a post, I don't want to give a proper response to it. If there are any other things, I'm not going to respond to it. Okay, so for that reason, the do methods, the default do methods, will simply be giving a response back to the client saying this method is not supported. So what does doGet, the implementation of doGet do here? The default implementation of doGet. Okay. So implementation of doGet, the default doGet is, oh, I'm not supporting it. So doPost will be implemented as saying, okay, I'm not supporting the post. Okay. Fine. Here the idea being that the one who is writing the subclass will only be specifying whatever he overrides, that's the one which gets supported. Other things are not supported. Okay, other HTTP methods are not supported. So default implementation is for these do methods is giving a response saying, oh, I don't support that method, that same method. So if it's doGet, it says, oh, doGet is get is not supported. Fine. So fine. So clear. To develop a new servlet, how do we develop a new servlet? So normal thing is to develop a servlet, a new servlet. Fine. Yeah, I think we started writing those options. The fourth option was there. And maybe you want to support more than one method. Fine. Override more than one. Okay. So that's how it should be done. Okay. So developing a servlet is to be like this. So now what you should know is the methods which are there in the HTTP servlet request. Okay. Even before going to HTTP servlet request, we should know servlet request. Okay. Fine. We should know servlet request. Then from servlet request, a subclass of servlet request is the a sub interface basically is the HTTP servlet request. Okay, and same way we should be knowing the servlet response and also the HTTP servlet response. Okay, these are the things we should understand. Okay, fine. In that servlets.txt, there is something which is mentioning about request dispatcher. Okay, fine. So next we should be looking at that request dispatcher thing. So any questions so far? All of you remain silent, so I don't understand whether you are getting the things or not. Okay. See, another thing is, like, if at any point you feel that feel tired, right? Okay, you can request a 5 minute break, right? So, but at least start interaction. There's no interaction I'm getting. Shall we proceed to the next, or yeah, I want to have a break now. Yeah, no response. Someone can unmute and at least let me know. Okay. I don't get, like, whether I should proceed with the next topic, or still you need more things in this. Okay. Okay. I should give you exercise. Okay. Fine. See, we have developed the Hello Servlet, right? So this is what we have done, is we have done by implementing the servlet interface. That's what I have shown. Okay. I would like you to do it by extending from the HTTP servlet the way it should have been done. Okay. Normally no one would do it the way I have shown here. Okay. This is not a norm. Okay. Normally it would be people will be developing it by extending from HTTP servlet. Okay, fine, and then overriding the someone can override even the service method, but the same service method, fine. Or you override the do get method. In this case, since we are going to just send a request from the browser, okay, fine, it would be a get method only, right? So override the do get method, fine. And I would like you to do one more thing here. Initially, make a mistake, and make a mistake. The do get method, when you override the do get method, make a spelling mistake, okay, and then see what happens. What kind of response do you get? Okay, and then make a correction and then check what how it works. You have been able to compile your servlet code. If if you are finding difficulty in compiling from command line, let me show the way I'm doing. Okay, how I compile here, because you can follow this wherever you are compiling. Okay, it's something like this. See. Okay, so here is the src folder where I have created my kept my from in src folder, according to the package structure, you have created your directories, right? So your class is in org rolewala servlet, and that's where that's a package part. Okay, so when compiling, you'll say java c. Okay, now the next thing which we normally specify here is -d option. Okay, D stands for destination directory. So you'll say, okay, my destination, so when I compile, the compiled code should go in which folder? So where should it be? It should be in the Tomcat, okay, web apps, and under web apps, our application folder is there, okay. In the in the application folder, there's a web-inf folder which has been created, and there we have created a classes folder. So this should be the destination. Okay, so when you are compiling a servlet, okay, this is what you should be, this is how you should be compiling. Wherever your source code is, I'm fine. So I'm saying this is your src folder where you have created your directory according to the package structure. So you are in that folder, and then giving this in your command line. Okay, the other important parameter to specify is the -cp option. CP stands for the class path. Okay, since you are using a servlet which is not part of the standard JDK, right? It has its own separate library, which will be, so for you, it will be, since you have installed Tomcat, it will be available in Tomcat. Okay, so for that, here from SRC, I'm just going back and giving the location of Tomcat lib. In this, there is a servlet api.jar. So these two important parameters you should understand, and then specify what you want to compile. Oh, you want to compile org, rolewala, servlet, and base servlet.java. Okay, there it is. Yeah, we made some mistakes, it seems. We didn't compile the base servlet. Okay, I think enumeration, that import is missing for enumeration. Okay, fine. And .log get servlet context.log. Okay, incompatible type. String. Okay, let's check that. I think we can fix this error. Good, we compiled the base servlet and got some errors. It is string message get servlet context.log message. Okay, here's the servlet context, and it has that log method. We saw there was a method called log. This is log takes a string as parameters. Log with string return void is available. Log with message and throwable, that's also available. String, right? String and throwable. Okay, so what is it that we have done wrong? Get servlet context should return as the servlet context. Okay, dot log string. So this should be okay. Achha, we don't have to return, sorry. It's not returning. Yeah, it's a return type is void for the log method. Okay, that's a mistake. Okay. And there was one more, I think. What was it? Import was missing for the enumeration. And now it's a exception. Spelling mistake. Okay, fine. So the point here is you should know how to compile. So if you find difficulty in compiling, this is how it should be done. And so that should be clear how to compile. And once this has been compiled, you can always reload and check this. Okay, fine. So I don't know where you are stuck. Are you stuck somewhere, or can someone answer? Can someone speak at least? Are you stuck with compiling a servlet? Can someone unmute and at least speak something? That I know, yes, you are there. I just want to know where you are, if you are stuck or not. That's one thing. Have you been able to develop one servlet like the hello servlet and see the result in a browser? That's the first thing. If not, where you are getting stuck, right? So options where you may be getting stuck is, one is Tomcat not yet working, okay, or second is compilation, and third is some problem with the server side. Now if there are some problems with the server side, should know from long-term perspective, okay, if you are going to be in the industry or sometime, what you should know here is that you should be able to see the log also, okay, and you would like to know how to look at the log. Where is the log? So Tomcat has a folder called logs, and here date wise, okay, it would be there, right? So this is one. This is for access. So there are various logs basically. Okay, so you can open them and check. So for example, if you open this, yes, here this is the log where it is showing how it has worked. Okay, we'll understand what is this context listener and the other things which are going to come up. Okay. But like this, there are the other logs. So they can be useful to you if there are, some exception is getting thrown. Oh, that will also get logged in this. And if you try system.out.println, oh, that won't be visible on the browser. Browser is not your system.out now. Okay, so that will go in this. If there is anyone writing system.out.println somewhere, oh, you will get it within this. Your, logger, that log thing I was mentioning about the log, someone writing into the log. So that would also be available in these logs basically. The get servlet context.log method. Okay. Some exception got thrown, everything. So the entire log stays. So normally what we do is, okay, this is like how we, if we get some problem somewhere. So in our testing, how we normally do is during our development, or during any kind of a bug fixing. Okay, what we have to do is we would shut down the server first. Okay, clear the log files, remove all the log files, clean up the logs, and then start the server, get the error to happen. Okay, and then once the error has occurred, then we'll stop the server and go and open the logs and check in the logs. Okay, what happened there. Okay, so this is another good place that you should be knowing about. Okay, so this also gives a lot of hints about what's a problem which is happening. Okay. And so if there are errors, it's getting stuck, you should refer to this also. So, and check out what exactly happened, right? Okay. See, there was some error at some particular time. So if someone's init method fails, okay, that application may not also start up. Okay, that application startup may not even complete there. So if you are, even your web.xml, if your tags are not correctly written, that can also create problems. Okay, so you should be aware, but then you will get it to know about it by referring to the log also. Okay. Anyway, so you can refer to the log, but for specific case, you may first clear all the logs. All the log files may be deleted in this folder. Keep the folder, don't remove the folder, but from the folder remove all the files and then restart your server. Okay, so that's one good option. And then so that you don't have the old log, just look at the current log only. Okay, and so that also helps. This log also helps you. Yeah. Okay, I think, yeah. And next thing we'll take it the next session then, I think. Yeah, we won't start new topic, but you should feel free to ask questions. I don't know, somehow you're no one is asking any questions and not responding. I don't know. Not good. Okay. Read this. I think after reading this, if you still have problems, let me know. Maybe you have not read this completely. Okay. Read this, though it was prepared long ago, but still I feel this gives a good picture about the servlets, how they work. Okay, the servlet API. Basically, I give more importance to the API part. Okay, and so because that's what is going to help you to develop your servlets. Okay. Okay, fine. So still anyone would like to ask a question or anything? Yeah. Let me put what we should be taking next time, right? Let's plan for the next time. Okay. So next we should be looking at the, but this is what you should prepare for. Okay. So at least read this from the servlet request. What are the various methods in the servlet request? Okay. That at least you should know. Okay. In the request, mainly understanding about parameters. Okay. And then once we know about parameters, next thing you should know is the request dispatcher. Okay, fine. Request dispatcher. Yeah. Okay. Uh, fine. And once you know the request dispatcher, you should be able to use request dispatcher once you know about the attributes in servlet request. Okay. So then we understand how request dispatcher can be useful. Okay. Okay. So this is what we should try to understand. And once this is done, next thing should be on cookies and even the session or basically there is a interface class, I think HTTP session. That's what we should be looking at. There is a class called cookie and there's a class called HTTP session. These are in javax.servlet.http. That has the cookie and HTTP session because they are specific to HTTP. Whereas another thing, after servlet request, you should be knowing about servlet response. Okay, and again, once request dispatcher, you should have knowledge about HTTP servlet request. Same way, servlet response and HTTP servlet response. And so till cookie and HTTP session, once it's done, our next step would be to go to the JSP part. Okay. And then later we may come back to the API and look at the listener and filter. I think listener filter, both of them are, I don't know if they are part of syllabus, we'll take this. Okay, but that will be after JSP. Okay, and towards the end, I think you do have the JSTL and the EL part. Okay. Okay, so that's the way we should be proceeding further, right? Okay.